Wow.
Sorry, I read Everdell.
Which review is this?
No. Our thoughts on Farshore.
Welcome to Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples, a channel of conversation and board games.
Hey, my name is Brent.
And I'm Nicole.
Welcome to Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Today on the channel, we are going to be talking about a game in which we've been excited to talk about for a while now.
Yep. Absolutely. We've been waiting.
We've been waiting...
Months.
Yeah, months. So today we are diving into Everdell, Farshore. And before I show you how the game plays in the radar overview, I will say this. We're going to talk about Everdell, Farshore, but we're going to also look at it from a lens of if you are a fan of Everdell.
How can we not?
Yeah, like I know it's its own game. We know it's its own game.
Sure.
But after playing Everdell like 200 plus times, it's hard to not look at Farshore.
Yeah, it's
in that context.
It's in the universe.
So let me show you how this game plays in the radar overview. Final forecast coming up. First, cue thunder. So the radar overview for Farshore looks like this. This is going to be the Cole's Notes version of the overview as to how to play this game. As you can see, there are locations, much like in Everdell, and there are, ways to get more critters throughout the game. Whenever you prepare for season, summer and autumn, you will gain critters. Depending on which season, you'll reactivate production cards. You'll grab more cards from either the bay or the deck of cards. And then you'll also change the windrows tiles. But I'm going to scoot the board up a little bit and show you a little bit of kind of how to play the game per se. Each player will start with, two of their type of critter, and then they will also start with a boat with one of their critters in it. They do not get that critter at all. This just shows that this is yours, and it'll be moving around the board. And as you can see, it starts at 2 and goes all the way to 60. This game has crabs, beavers, puffins, as well as ducks. They also replace the Evertree with a lighthouse. This would go at the top of the board. You would try to then get your critters on top of the lighthouse, which wouldn't really work all that well, so we put them on the board. You also have seashells. These would count as victory points, as noted on the cards as well. So this is a worker placement game. You'll be putting your critters out to gain different resources: mushrooms, sea crystals, seaweed, as well as driftwood. You can only first person to go to each of those locations is able to go there. There are a few places, the docks, the lookout, as well as the dunes, in which multiple people can go there, including yourself. And then you also have a couple islands, depending on player count, will reflect how many islands. So in a 2-player, there's 2, 4-player, there is 4. These will be getting sunk in the summer. The last player to prepare for the summer season will flip 2 of these, and obviously in a 2-player game, then you don't have any left. And these are just a little bit more powerful locations to get different resources. You also have treasure tiles. This acts as a wild resource. At the same time, if you don't use it, at the end of the game, it's worth 2 victory points. So you may want to use these to progress in the game, but you also may want to hang on to them because they're worth victory points. You get these from certain cards that come into play, as well as moving your ship. So anytime you move your ship to a spot where it shows one of these, you would collect that. How do you move your ship? Well, this is a big thing in the game. You have the windrows tiles. So the windrows tiles, in each season, they'll have an A and a B, and it'll either be this is the type of card, in this case the destination cards, and then this will either be common, unique, construction, or critter. Each time you build a card that matches one or both of these, you'd move your ship. So if in this season I'd play the sea chip, I'd be able to move it 1 because the sea chip is a common critter. Say I build this inn, it is a common as well, a common construction, but it's common as well as it is a destination, so I get to move it 2. So following the windrows will help you move your ship, which will get you not only victory points, but also these treasure tiles. So that's a big way to get points. Another big way to get points are the map tiles. So these map tiles are replacing the events, and depending on how many map tiles you have at the end of the game, that's how these score. So imagine with me, I had, these 3 map tiles at the end. I can only collect 1 of each type. So even if I had 3 destination cards, I couldn't put 2 different critters there to gain 2 destination map tiles, just 1 of each, so at most 6. And then you would add up the score of how many map tiles times how many map tiles, if that makes sense. So 2, 4, 6 times 3 is 18. But let's say I had, all of a sudden this guy. So then at that point, 2, 4, 6, 7 times 4 is 28. So the more map tiles you have, the more points left unchecked. Someone in theory, if they get the highest one in all of them, they could get 72 points, which would be quite high. But that is, in a nutshell, how you play Everdell. You can have his ultimate unlimited common constructions or common cards, but unique cards, you can only have 1 of each type. I will also say that you get anchors instead of occupy tokens. In Farshore, you only start with 3. You only get 3. You cannot reuse these. And say I would build this customs office sometime in the game. At that point, on a future turn, I could put an anchor on there to get a free critter that is a governance. So in this case, I could get my free herbalist because they're both governance. And that's how you use these occupied anchors. But again, you only get 3 of them. The game has, delightful artwork, and it's got some cards that are new, much like, the Illuminator, this ability, copy any destination location ability in another player's city. That's new. Whereas the C chip, activate 1 production in your own city, which would be the same as the chip sweep. Much would be the same as the inn. Play a card from the bay for 3 fewer resources. So some of the cards are the same abilities as Everdell. Some of them are new, and like I said, they got some very nice artwork. The Admiral, the Castaway, the Scavenger. So yes, nice artwork. But yeah, that in a nutshell is how you play Everdell Farshore. Let's move on over now and check out the final forecast. So the final forecast for Farshore. Everdell Farshore, a game in the Everdell universe, one that we love a lot. As mentioned at the top of the video, we're going to talk about Farshore, but a lot of it is not necessarily going to, this isn't going to be a comparison video. We're going to talk about what we like about Farshore. At the same time, there's going to be a lot of comparison. There's going to be a lot of comparing. Naturally.
It's a new word there.
Yes, naturally, right? So
yeah.
Let's just dive into the look of it. The components. What did you think of the look of it? Because Everdell's got that big tree. It's got all these cool resources.
Well, okay, this is not Andrew Bosley artwork.
No, it's not.
First off, which some people think it is.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not.
But it's really nice.
It is.
I enjoy it a lot.
Except the cartographer. I don't like that one.
Beautiful. The cartographer?
Yeah, the little axolotl. He's got like a human hand.
I'm thinking of the scribe.
It kind of creeps me out.
Yeah, okay, fair.
You can see it right here on the screen now. Mm-hmm. The cartographer. Yeah, it's kind of got a little bit of a human hand. But besides that, yeah, the artwork.
It looks really nice. I mean, you set it up, you take pictures of it all set up, the game, and it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's colorful. It's nice. It's really nice.
I will say this.
Oh.
The focal point of Everdell is the tree, and the focal point of Farshore is the lighthouse. And I will say this is like almost, to me, non-functioning.
We don't use it.
It looks nice if you set it up, but to get all the critters on the 2 layers,
well,
you can't even do it in a 2-player game, let alone 4-player game. It looks nice, and it splits the draw pile and the discard pile.
And to be fair, we don't use the tree really either.
No, we don't.
Even though we upgraded it.
Yes, to the wood one.
We
But-
sometimes do if we want to be fancy.
Yeah, but the lighthouse, it looks good. It's not really functional. It just stays in the box.
Doesn't really fit everything on it.
And I will say at the same time, I like the little boats, but putting them around the board, it's like...
That is one thing that I don't
It's
like.
cumbersome because
Yeah.
we just take our meeple out and we just physically put it on the board on the seashell that you're at because
It's a
like,
really cute idea.
Yeah.
I like it. Mm-hmm. And like the first time we played Farshore, I was really excited about the boats.
Mm-hmm.
But we quickly realized that A, they fall over easily, and B, not everything fits, and then you lose your spot, and then you're like, where was I?
The front of the boat is lined up with the point value I'm at, or how
And
exactly?
if you lose your spot, that's a huge... You can't retrace your steps, really.
No.
So you kind of just have to guess where you were around the board, and it's kind of a big deal. So
But overall, the game looks nice.
it does, yeah.
Starting game
Beautiful.
has,
love it.
just expanded the Everdell vibe with nice components. It's got the seaweed, which is a little weird,
I like the
rubbery.
seaweed.
I didn't like it at first, but I like it now.
kinda
It's
cool.
got mushrooms instead of berries. The sea crystals is like a matte blue version of resin,
Yeah, but it's supposed to be like
and
a
the
stone.
driftwood. So overall components are good. I like
Really
it.
nice.
So moving from components, let's talk about gameplay, okay? The back of the rule book, it says comparing Farshore to Everdell. A quick rule. So we're going to go through a few of these things and talk about Farshore, what we like, kind of how it changed from Everdell, whatever the case is. But one of the new rules is you have the bay, and as soon as you have, you filled out 8 cards, any duplicates, you stack them.
Yep.
Instead of having, 2 of the same card in the bay.
I like that.
I
That's
like-
really nice.
I know, and a lot of people will now just play Everdell in the same way, but I like that there's always 8 cards. At the same time, sometimes I feel, and maybe I'm just not totally grasping this, but if there's 2 of the same cards in the bay and someone plays one, you automatically get a new one. Or
Right.
Right. Sorry. Let me back that up. In Everdell, if there's 2 of the same in the meadow, someone plays it. Yeah, the meadow is stagnant at that moment, but then a new card comes in. In this, they just stack.
Yeah, it's
Right.
the same, just in a different order. Maybe.
Yeah, and maybe it is.
So, I think it's good. I think it makes it a little bit more streamlined, just a little bit less stagnant in the bay,
True.
which is great. And honestly, when we play regular Everdell now, it feels weird
Not doing it.
stacking them.
Yeah.
So
Which again,
it feels like something that probably should have been in Everdell, but just it's like a new thing that
they learned as they went.
Yeah,
They
totally.
didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't in the design in the beginning. But speaking of the cards, it's got some old cards. Chip Sweep still in there.
Postal Pigeon.
Postal Pigeon. The farm's in there. It's called the Grove. Pretty much a mine is in there. I think
Yeah.
it's called the Tumbler.
Yeah, I played that one
The
last time.
Sledge. Beach Sledge is in there. It's pretty
It's
much
like the resin refinery almost.
no, that would be like
'Cause
the...
it has 2 seaweed, right?
No, I don't know what that was. The Tango Raft. Or the
Oh.
Tango Raft is virtually... So
Either way.
there are some cards that are similar. There's like a version of the Crane. Play a card for 3 less. There's the Inn. So there are some similarities in cards, but there's some new cards.
Sure.
And there's some new end game scoring, which I think I actually really like that.
Yep.
Because in Everdell, it's kind of like just, the school, the palace, common critters, unique critters, common constructions, things like that.
Yeah.
But this has like the Guildmaster, where you get 1 victory point for every Tan Traveler, destination, and governance card.
Yep.
So you do that. I like that. There's some that then also piggyback with those treasure tiles, which I like that. What'd you think of the treasure tiles? They're like wilds
That's really
or
powerful.
2 victory points.
Yep. This is like a way higher scoring game than Everdell.
Yes.
For so many reasons.
You'll consistently
That
score
It's
over 100.
it's insane. It feels really satisfying because it's like, ooh, I have such a high score. And maybe that's just because it's newer to us now that it feels exciting. But Yeah, no, I like the treasure tiles. I like that you can use them as a wild resource. That's really handy. And it gives you a lot of like thinky decisions because you have to kind of weigh there's a lot of AP in this game because you have to kind of weigh, okay, this is 2 victory points. Is it worth using as a wild resource? Like you kind of have to count.
Yeah,
almost.
Like I did that yesterday.
If you want to think about it that much, you don't have to.
I played the pirate, so like the pirate's like 3 mushrooms, and you gain 3 treasure tiles. So it's like, okay, I'm going to spend virtually 6 victory points to gain 6 victory points and fill a slot in my city.
Yeah, but there's other factors, right? Like, what are you...
And, yeah, because it's like, oh, I do that during the windrows.
What's in the windrow? Yeah, like all the things, right?
And
there's a lot of more thinky kind of... I don't know. Mm-hmm. I feel it's a little more... Like, it's good. It's a good thinky. It's not like...
I feel that I slowed down in this game.
Totally.
Kind of what you
Me
do.
too.
Because at the end, you're like, okay, if I only have the 15 slots in my city, which I'll get to momentarily about that. But I got 15 slots. I want to play card A, B, and C because I need to get these map tiles, which again, I'll speak on momentarily, the map tiles. And you really have to weigh out so much more in Farshore compared to Everdell.
There are some very slow turns in Farshore.
I feel. And maybe it's because, and I don't know, I don't think it is because we played Everdell so much and we haven't played Farshore as much.
No.
I think this one, you just have to do checks and balances and you have to weigh things out considerably more.
And that being said, you can also play it however you want.
Meaning
you don't have to overthink all of your decisions.
Right.
Like for instance, when you were stuck with that whatever with the pirate yesterday, like when we played, you wouldn't have had to have sat there and counted and tried to figure out what was the best thing to do. Like sometimes, even with Everdell, sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I don't feel like thinking about this for so long. I'm just gonna make a choice and then hopefully it's the right one. Right.
Well, and yesterday it wasn't the right one for you.
Hey.
But
it was a close game.
It was 137, 130.
But anyway, the point is, you can make it however complex you want.
And
I feel.
And that's why I feel that this has been considered to be a more entry-level Everdell, and I don't agree with that.
I agree.
You agree? I don't agree with that because I think there's... No, I don't. And one of the reasons they say that it's the more entry level or it's a little easier is because of the map tiles. So out of the event and you get the map tiles and you're, building your city, trying to get those map tiles and they compound, right? So however many map tiles you have times the value of all of them added up.
I like the map tiles.
And so like here it says in the quick rules, I just want to read, events are replaced by map tiles. These can multiply together for big values, so they should not be ignored. A single player left unchecked could theoretically gain 72 points for map tiles. Okay? This for me is kind of where Farshore not falls apart for me. That's not the word I'm going to say. But this is the thing that I've struggled with the most in Farshore. And for the record, I'm going to say right now, I'm giving it a 70% chance Meeples because overall, I think Farshore is a good game. I don't think it is great like Everdell, but I want to say it's a 7 out of 10. It's 70% chance for me. And I need to clarify that because someone's going to say, well, he said all these things that he didn't like, and yet he still gave it this. The map tiles. I feel that restricts the game so much.
Yeah, you can look at it 2 ways. It either restricts it, or for me, it gives me more direction.
Yes. And that's what I didn't like the most about the game. At the same time, I did win without getting map tiles. So it says if someone's not unchecked, they can get so many points from the map tiles. That is true. But I think in a 3 and 4 player game, you can ignore the map tiles and still do well. In a 2 player game, I think you almost have to
But we played a 2-player game and you won without getting any map tiles, so.
That is true, because I built
And I got, 3 of them?
Yeah, I think I played 5 prosperity cards, but I think it's easier to win in a 3 or 4 player game without getting map tiles.
Sure, because it's more spread out, of course.
Because other people are getting those map tiles.
Yeah.
And so I felt overall like Everdell Farshore is more restrictive because of those map tiles. Because, yes, I did win, but I could have easily lost.
Yeah, it was close.
It was close. I could have easily lost without getting any map tiles. And for a game in which you want to gain map tiles, you only have 15 slots in your city. And if you want one of every map tile, you have to build exactly 4 production cards, 3 governance, 3 destination, 3 tan traveler, and 2 prosperity cards. So you better make sure the cards you are playing.
There's no way, unless your opponent is not going for map tiles at all, that you're going to get them all.
No, but even if you don't get all the 2s, all the highest value ones, even if you get a couple 2s and a couple 1s.
When it gets back down to the 1s, you really have to think, is this worth it?
Well, of course it is, because if you have...
Is it, though?
Yeah, if you have 3 map tiles...
I don't know,
A 2, 2, and a 1, that's then 5 times 3 is 15.
I've won...
Okay.
Without
But if you get
strategy,
4
though.
and you get 2, 2, 1, 1, then you have 2 plus 2 is 4. You have 6 times 4 is 24.
But
so a single map tile of even valued at 1 is 9 points because they accumulate.
Yeah, but you could get lots of prosperity cards that are worth more than 9.
I get that. Yes, you can, and that's what I did. But I'm saying in a 2-player game,
I don't know. For me, like some of the problems with Everdell that people had, and that even some of the struggles I had with Everdell that slowed down that game for me, was not knowing what to do next. And you're halfway through the game. I'm talking about Everdell now, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, you're stuck. What do? I don't know which direction to go. Yeah, you have the events. You kind of have a guide, but you don't have, with Farshore, you have okay, well now I'll do this because it's right there in front of you. So I can see how people would see this as more of an entry level type of game, because it does kind of point you in those directions. It's a little bit less overwhelming, and especially because there's no pairings with Everdell, right? Which that's part of Everdell that I love, and I actually don't love
in Farshore
that you get the anchors and that's all it is. But that's because I've played Everdell so many times that I'm familiar with all the cards and I know exactly what to do. If I was a new person to this series and I had never played Everdell or Farshore before, Farshore would be much easier, I think.
And again, it's hard to look at Farshore without looking at it through the lens of Everdell.
Totally. Yeah.
But I don't know. The thing that I'll say my bottom line at the end. But we mentioned the Windrose tokens earlier.
Yeah.
And I like these. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with these, because they can get you lots of points because you go around the board and you get your treasure tiles, which are wilds or victory points. So you can do that.
Yeah.
But I have a love-hate relationship with them because I love that. But then part of me doesn't like it because it's, again, kind of restricting you. Oh, I'm in this season. I should be playing Tan Travelers.
I know.
In the beginning of the game.
It's hard.
And the game we had yesterday, the production was at the end.
I think
you don't want to be playing those.
I think
typically.
at least 3 times that we've played it so far, it's been the production at the end.
In autumn.
And I don't know how to do that.
It's so hard, and it's kind of it just flips the script and makes you think a different way. And I understand that.
It does.
But Farshore at the top of this thing says, Farshore is built on the main mechanical structure of Everdell, but there are many important, exciting differences for you to discover and explore. And that word explore, that's the thing that gets me the most. I don't feel that I can sit here and do a game where I can just explore. Meaning, I can play Everdell, and I can be like, today, I'm not going to play any green cards.
Yeah.
I'm going to play no production cards, and I can win. You know?
Possibly.
It's happened. Mm-hmm. I've won with no production cards. I feel that in this one, you can't necessarily do that. You can't explore and just be like, oh, I'm going to play this one. I'm going to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it would be a lot harder to do that.
It's a lot harder because,
well, you
again,
could do it, but you would lose.
I think you would. I honestly
okay
think
with
you would,
losing.
because you have to focus so much on the windrows, and you have to focus to a degree on those map tiles, specifically more in the 2-player count, unless, like, if you would have gotten all 6 of those map tiles, again, you didn't build your city in the way to do so.
Again, I was going to say that's hard to do because it's dependent on what comes out and what's in your hand and all the things, right? You still can't totally plan your game. You still have to kind of go on the fly a little bit.
Yeah, and to
there
me,
is some freedom.
There is.
Like,
and so, again, I like the windrows, but
the
then at the
windrows
same
is
time,
cool,
it's
but-
cool. Like, it's a cool mechanic. I like that. But it's kind of like,
I think-
maybe if it was like each season, it was like, okay, it's a unique. And it's just one out of the 2.
Yeah.
I think that would be,
Well, no.
I'm wondering how that would work.
There's more opportunity, though, to get at least one of the 2 things, right?
Right.
Like-
Yes, you're right. But again, sometimes it's like,
So-
again, Tan Traveler in the beginning, and some of the Tan Traveler cards are like,
I know.
they activate instantly. And kind of like the Stowaway, which is the Ranger, you have that card. You don't want to play it in the first season.
No.
And if it's like Tan Traveler and Unique, and that's your Tan Traveler and it's a unique card, you don't want to play that, but you'll never see that combination again.
It's true.
Later
you
in the
have to
game.
Hold on to it.
And you
Or-
want to hold on to it, typically. But
Yeah, you have to find a balance, I think, between like the windrows tiles and the map tiles and all the different things, ways to get points. Like there's also the victory points or the shells, I guess, in there.
which I feel there's not as many cards that gain
there
you
aren't.
victory points.
I don't think there's quite enough cards in there to do that because I have found like one.
Well, no, there's more.
I know
the
there's more.
There's Scribe.
I know there's more.
I'm sorry.
But I'm not saying there aren't more. I have only found one that I've used. So, and we've played a handful of times
yeah.
now. So, yeah, I wish we could get more of those victories. But I guess because of the way that the board is set up and the boats and all the things, you get more victory points that way. But yeah, it's just a little, I think because Everdell is so ingrained in us, it's a little hard to wrap my mind around something new.
Which is ironic.
That's still Everdell, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is ironic because a lot of people are like, I wish this was less Everdell. And I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum being like, I wish this was more Everdell.
oh, to be honest though, it is Everdell. Like we taught this a few nights ago. We taught this to our friend who was out for a visit for the holidays, and he has played Everdell with us a bunch of times, but like 100 times.
Over 100.
Like he knows Everdell as much as we do almost. And we taught him Farshore and he was like, oh, like he understood it right away because literally it's like the same mechanics. It's the same, like even the cards he picked up on right away because it's so similar.
Yeah.
Just the way that it works and functions is, if you've played Everdell, you can play Farshore, no problem. You don't have to learn it. It's the same.
So we have both copies because we absolutely adore the game, the universe,
Yes.
so on and so forth. If you own Everdell, I don't know if you need this one unless you are like us.
Yeah.
In the sense that there aren't planned expansions for this. So if I'm looking at the 2 boxes side by side, the replay value, replayability, all that stuff, the variety and stuff, I think there's considerably more in Everdell.
Yeah.
Even the forest locations. So in this one, you get like a dozen forest locations.
That being said, this is the first game
Of what?
of like Farshore. So there's more coming, we've heard already.
Yes, edge of the map. But they're
So-
not going to be I don't believe they're going to be compatible in that regard.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
I
so.
don't know. But No, I would agree with you. I think if you have Everdell, like it's really,
I can't spend your money.
It's really similar.
Yeah.
So if you love Everdell and you're obsessed with it like we are, then yes, get Farshore. It's amazing.
But if
I love it.
If you're wanting like more like in-depth things, more content, stick with Everdell.
Yeah.
And the other
all the expansions.
All the expansions. But like I said, I'm giving this a 70% chance of Meeples because I did enjoy it. I didn't sit there and be like, oh, I hate this game. I never want to play it again. No, it was fun. I liked I liked the new cards and how they interact. Some of the prosperity. Again, I have a love-hate relationship with the Windrose because I really like that because I love going up on that track and I've almost hit that 60 mark multiple times.
Yep.
And so I really, really like that. But I just have more hang-ups in this compared to Everdell. So I gave it a 70% chance of Meeples. What would you give it?
That's fair. I'm giving an 85% chance of Meeples. I gave Everdell a 100.
Yeah.
So this is not quite up there for me as much as Everdell is. But I also, again, so I've only played this a handful of times now. So I have to give it, I think, more time too. To grow on me a little bit more. And who knows, I might end up loving it more. But right now, it sits at 85 for me.
85, 70. There you have it. Our thoughts on Everdell. It was long, but
Everdell?
Farshore.
Wow.
Sorry, I read Everdell.
Which review is this?
No. Our thoughts on Farshore. And I feel that because we played Everdell so much,
take it with a grain of salt,
I
guess.
to, try to separate them, and it's a
Sure.
challenge. But
yeah,
there you have it. If you want to know more about Cloudy the Chance of Meeples, check us out. We're on Facebook, Cloudy the Chance of Meeples. Till next time, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of Meeples.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember to grab your umbrella because the forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.